So today we're going to talk about the difference between coil split and coil tap. Okay, so coil splitting and coil tapping seem to be this like weirdly interchangeable. Well, everybody calls coil tapping. Everybody calls everything coil tapping. We're going to get into the difference between it. And not only are we going to get into the difference between it, we're actually going to build a properly, like an actual coil tapped single coil. So we're going to get to how we build this in just a few minutes because it's a completely different thing than coil splitting. So first of all, let's talk about coil splitting. That's the one that more people are familiar with, okay? Even though they call it the wrong thing, we'll get into it. So when we look at a humbucker, let's just kind of mock this up for mocking up's sake. So we've got a humbucker here, right? This is just parts of one, obviously. It's not complete, but I wanted to show the parts. So we've got the humbucker, screws, right? And when you look inside there, there's two bobbins, right? So you take the cover off of a humbucker, and we have two separate coils in there, okay? And they are actually wound separately. So you have two single coils stuck together. Each one has two wires, a start and a finish, right? So when you coil split a humbucker, and here's what we'll do. We'll put up a diagram of coil splitting so that you can see what's happening. Basically, what you do is, see, one of these wires is white and one of them is black, one of them is white and one of them is black. It's because I color code them so I can keep track of them. But the start wire is white and the finish wire, so when you wind the coil, you have one end that you start with, and then you have one end that you finish at the end of the coil. So the white one is the start, the black one is the finish, the white one is the start, the black one is the finish. So in a normal humbucker, the black ones are hooked up to each other, the finishes are hooked up to each other, and you have a humbucker. And then, of course, one end of this white one gets hooked up to the ground, and this one gets hooked up to the switch, and the thing works. When you coil split it, basically what you do is you take these two black wires, they're hooked up within the humbucker, right? The finishes, and you run those to a ground through a switch. So it's not always grounded. It's playing normally, you're rocking out, you got the whole humbucker thing going, you flip a switch, and now these two wires are grounded, and one of the coils gets shut off. Now we're coil split, so now we're only running on this coil. Now most pickups that are coil split don't sound very good because you just have this anemic, thin, half a pickup kind of sound. And as much as people want it to work and make it sound like they want their Les Pauls to sound like a Strat or whatever, it doesn't really work. Fortunately, like, we've come out with our center punch humbucker where we actually wind them different. We've got like a whole process that we use to get it to work. So when you shut off this coil sounds closer to a single coil and the volume doesn't drop. That's the biggest thing, because when you cut off half of your pickup, then your volume drops. So our center punch humbucker, we'll leave a link to it in the description, at Dylan Talks Tone, doesn't volume drop when you split the coil. It works really, really well. It's something I've messed with for a long time to get it there. It's awesome. It's not like other those wacky ones where they have like resistors and capacitors and stuff in them. This is just a straight pickup, but the way we wind them, it works. Okay, so that's coil splitting. So let's put that one aside. Now let's talk about coil tapping, because coil tapping has nothing to do with humbuckers. It actually has to do with single coils. So let's look at a single coil. So actually we'll look at two single coils, because it could be done with either of these. So here we have a P90 bobbin. So it's got a coil on it. I already wound it. I just have to assemble the rest of the pickup. So here we have two wires, and the red one is the start of the coil, and it goes around a bunch of times and it comes out, and here's the finish. Conventional thing, you're familiar. Red one goes to ground, white one goes to the switch or to wherever you want it to go. Pickup works, everything's cool. What if you wanted a little bit more? What if you wanted a little variation in your tone? Well, then what you could do, tele pickup, same thing. Then what you could do is you could add, so we've got our normal wires over here, and we've got a third wire over here. So let's go ahead and show you what we're actually doing when we tap a pickup. It's not something you can do afterwards. It's something you have to do, like the humbucker, you can split it afterwards. But this, you have to do it when you actually make the pickup. So let's go ahead and make one. So this is a bobbin for a Telecaster bridge pickup that I have not wound yet, and this is the one that we're going to make today. You notice here, I have drilled and installed another place for a third wire, okay? Because what we're going to do is when we wind this pickup, we're going to wind the pickup to a certain point, and then we're going to tap off of it for this hole over here, and then we're going to continue the pickup and finish it. Let me show you what I mean. Let's go ahead and start winding this pickup. Okay, so basically now what we've got is we've got a pickup wound, but we're not done yet. Okay, so essentially what we did was we stopped in the middle and we ran a connection for wire to that other hole. So now we're going to use all three holes. We're going to have 2 positives and 1 negative. And we'll get to how we wire that in just a minute when we get done winding this pickup, because now that we've tapped off of this coil at a particular wind count, then we're going to go ahead and wind some more pickup. And essentially what we're going to have is a pickup and a more switch. This thing's going to go to 11. So let's get done winding it and I'll show you what I mean. So now we have, instead of a regular Telecaster pickup with 2 wires, a beginning and an end, what we have is a beginning, I think, yep, a beginning, a middle, and an end. And so what we're going to be able to have is, we're going to, well here, let's just wire it up, solder it up, and I'll show you. So there's our normal pickup connections. We make this lead a little bit longer so it can hook up to the base plate. Now I've got this other wire that I marked separately. It's just got some marks on it so we know that it's not the regular white wire. So now we have, when we check this with our meter, is we have our regular pickup at 7.8K. But then we also have this other halfway pickup at 6.2K. So what that means is you could put this on a switch and you could use this connection for some telly, and you could use the white wire for more telly. That's basically all it is. It gives you 2 different pickups within the same pickup. And the reason you call it a coil tap is because we've actually tapped off of the center of the situation and then kept going and finished the pickup. So we've got 3 wires here. Let me finish this up and show you what it looks like when it's all done. So I probably already said this in this video, but basically what you end up with is when you tap the pickup, you're basically stopping in the middle of the process and you're creating another hot lead, then you're continuing the coil, you're finishing it, and then you have your normal hot lead. Well, what does that mean? That means that when we hook this up to the guitar, what we do is put it on a switch. So this one is on one side of the switch and this one is on the other side of the switch. So sometimes you have some telly, and on this one you have more telly. I don't have a telly today to demo this in, but when I've got one coming soon to do some other testing and stuff, and so we will go ahead and we'll show you what we're talking about, and we'll coil tap a couple of different pickups. Maybe we'll coil tap a P90 and we'll coil tap a telly pickup, and we'll do that in a couple of different guitars, and I'll show you how that works and what that means to the actual sound. But basically it's some telly, more telly, some P90, more P90, and it just gives you a little bit of dimension to the tone of your guitar. Over the next couple weeks, I'm actually going to go ahead and put a coil split, or a coil tapped, see, I'm even doing it, a coil tapped P90 and a coil tapped Telecaster bridge pickup on the website with some demo videos, so you understand, so you can hear what they sound like, and you can buy them if you want. It's just kind of a fun thing. It's fun especially in a single pickup guitar like a Les Paul Jr. for the P90 or an Esquire kind of setup. It's also cool in a normal telly because you can play with the output of it as you're playing, and you'll find that it'll hit your amp a little harder or a little softer, and you can kind of mess with that. It's a really cool thing, and like I said, we've got demos coming up for this stuff, but today I just wanted to get into the mechanics of how it works and really understand how you actually would do this. So there you go. Make sure you hit the join button down there. We got a couple little perks happening for our YouTube members. I do appreciate you. We also have a bunch of stuff going over on Patreon, some wiring diagrams and stuff lately that I think you'll dig, and a bunch of other content, and I think you'll dig that too. So check out the Patreon. If you have any questions about this stuff, let me know. And I hope you hit the subscribe button, because we're making a lot of videos. We're doing a lot of fun stuff. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you soon.